Three friends, Olivia, Chris and Jason, ventured into the forest in search of rare mushrooms. They had heard tales of a hidden grove where the most exquisite fungi grew, a place untouched by human hands for centuries. The trio, armed with baskets and a sense of adventure, set off early in the morning, hoping to return before dusk. The fog was thick that day, wrapping itself around the trees like a shroud. It was as if the forest itself was alive, breathing out a heavy mist that clung to their skin and clothes. The air was cool and damp, and every breath they took felt like inhaling a cloud. The deeper they walked, the thicker it became, muting the sounds of the outside world. The usual forest noises, chirping birds, rustling leaves, and distant animal calls were swallowed by the fog, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. It was as if they had stepped into another realm, one where time stood still and the outside world ceased to exist. But soon, the silence was broken by distant howls, deep and guttural, unlike any animal they'd ever heard. The sound sent shivers down their spines, and they exchanged uneasy glances. It was a reminder that they were not alone in these woods, that something else lurked in the shadows. "It's probably just the wind," Jason said, though his voice trembled. He tried to sound confident, but the fear in his eyes betrayed him. The howls continued, growing louder and more insistent, as if whatever was making them was drawing closer. They pushed on, but as the fog grew denser, so did their unease. Every step they took felt like a step deeper into a nightmare. The path they had been following became less distinct, and soon they were wandering aimlessly through the mist. The scent of damp moss filled the air, thick and suffocating, clinging to their clothes. It was a smell that spoke of decay and rot, of things long forgotten and left to wither away in the darkness. The ground beneath their feet was soft and spongy, making every step a struggle. Shadows moved in the mist, at first seeming like tricks of the light, but soon taking shape, humanoid figures with elongated limbs that appeared just out of reach. They flickered in and out of existence like ghosts haunting the forest. The friends tried to convince themselves it was just their imagination, but the fear gnawing at their hearts told them otherwise. By the time they realized they were lost, it was already dusk. The light was fading fast, and the fog seemed to grow thicker with every passing minute. Panic began to set in as they realized they had no idea how to find their way back. The howls had grown louder, closer, and now there was another sound, the sound of something large moving through the underbrush. It was a heavy, deliberate sound, like the footsteps of a giant. The friends huddled together, their eyes wide with fear as they listened to the approaching noise. Branches snapped and a low grunt reverberated through the trees. It was a sound that spoke of raw power and primal rage, a sound that made their blood run cold. They knew they had to move, but their legs felt like lead, weighed down by fear. Olivia stumbled, her breath coming in panicked gasps as she grabbed Chris's hand. "We need to go back," she whimpered. "Something's out there." Her voice was barely more than a whisper, but it carried the weight of their collective terror. "We need to go back," she whimpered. "Something's out there." Her words echoed in the silence, a stark reminder of the danger they were in. Chris squeezed her hand, trying to offer some comfort, but his own fear was palpable. But the fog made it impossible to retrace their steps. Every direction looked the same, a never-ending sea of mist and shadows. They were trapped, with no way to escape the encroaching darkness. The woods seemed to twist and shift around them, the path back disappearing into the mist. It was as if the forest itself was conspiring against them, leading them deeper into its heart. The friends clung to each other, their only source of comfort in the growing nightmare. The howling turned into a low, rumbling growl, and the sound of something crashing through the trees grew louder. It was a sound that spoke of imminent danger, of a predator closing in on its prey. The friends knew they had to run, but the fog made it impossible to see where they were going. Panic set in, and they began to run, crashing through the undergrowth blindly, their hearts pounding in their chests. Every step was a gamble, every turn a potential dead end. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees reaching out with gnarled branches to ensnare them. Only Jason made it out of the woods, breathless and terrified. He stumbled into the clearing, his clothes torn, and his face streaked with dirt and tears. He looked back at the forest, half expecting to see the creature emerge from the mist, but there was nothing, just the silent, oppressive fog. Olivia and Chris were never found. They had vanished into the fog, swallowed by the forest. Their disappearance was a mystery, one that haunted Jason for the rest of his life. Search teams scoured the area for weeks but returned with nothing. The forest seemed to have swallowed them whole, leaving no trace of their existence. It was as if they had never been there at all. Jason spoke of a beast he couldn't see but could hear. It followed them, toyed with them, until night fell and it struck. His story was met with skepticism, but the fear in his eyes was undeniable. He had seen something that defied explanation. Have you ever found yourself hopelessly lost in the woods? The feeling of being utterly alone, with no way to find your way back? It's a terror unlike any other, a primal fear that grips you and won't let go. Beware. Stay vigilant, because there are terrifying creatures in the woods that few have ever seen and lived to talk about. The forest is a place of mystery and danger, a place where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. If you ever find yourself lost in the fog, remember Jason's story and be careful where you tread. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. We have many more tales of terror and mystery to share, stories that will keep you up at night and make you question what lurks in the shadows. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles, if you dare. We promise to bring you the most spine-tingling stories, the kind that will make you think twice before venturing into the unknown. So, stay tuned and remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that are true.